Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another How About Them Celtics video. Sam and I are here recording on Tuesday, January 14th, talking about Walker Kessler, because that is the hottest name in Celtics trade lore, trade rumors, whatever you want to talk about right now. And it's largely because of our friend Cam to buy, I would argue, among other things. But Cam wrote an article, said why the Celtics should swing a big trade with the Utah Jazz, and it is basically saying like they should go get Walker Kessler. And then on top of that, excuse me, I don't know what his last name is, but Tim, he's Cranjus McBasketball on Twitter, which he does like the Basketball Index. He founded that. He's like team and agent consulting. He's like a big basketball personality on Twitter. Tweeted out, Kessler missed 6 games with a hip injury earlier this season, but otherwise he hasn't missed a game, and he rested on the 12th, so a couple days ago. I continue hearing Utah is open to moving Kessler. I wonder if Boston is close on a deal. Basically, another thing saying, hey, maybe this could be a thing. And the reason is because of the salaries. The Celtics obviously don't have a lot of money to work with in trades. They don't have a lot of flexibility, but Kessler being on his rookie contract only makes a little bit of money. He makes 2.9 mil this season, meaning they could easily trade for him because they could send out more than they're getting in. Kessler is having a phenomenal season. He's averaging 11 and 11, 2.5 blocks a game, playing almost 30 minutes a night and shooting 72% for the field, which leads the league. He's started every game for the Jazz this season, and he's only 23 years old. So by all accounts, he makes sense for any team to trade for, but I don't think it makes a lot of sense for the Celtics because when you contextualize it with, well, I'll let you talk first because I've rambled on at the start of this, but yeah.
Listen, the Walker Kessler stuff is exciting, I guess, if you want to look at it in that light, right? This year, the Celtics are pretty strapped. They're actually going to be able to do in the trade market. They don't have a lot of wiggle room. The roster is pretty much set, and the majority of their money is tied up in the important key rotation guys that you don't really want to move off of. With that being said, the Walker Kessler situation does give you a rare opportunity to add a talented piece for, listen, there would still be a price to come along with this, but it's without playing Jenga with your team. You don't have to give up any key rotation pieces to go get this guy. And if you really believe in him, maybe it's worth it. But at the point we're at now with the Celtics, you've got Porzingis. You've got Horford. Horford, by the way, who could be playing his last season. We don't really know. We don't know what his future plans are. No indication either way. And then you've got 3 quality backup big men, Cornette being the best of the 3, and Cornette, who has a similar skill set to Kessler, where he's just pretty solid. He'll hit the glass for you. He can block shots every once in a while, and he's a reliable finisher, as is Kessler. You mentioned it, 72% from the field. It's pretty efficient. I think if you're the Celtics and you can get him at somewhat of a discount where you're not completely gutting your future, maybe you do it. But it doesn't really move the needle for me. If you add Kessler to this team, Jack, you said it to me before we started. Where is it that he's going to find his minutes? Like, what do the Celtics really gain this season from this?
Listen, I think Walker Kessler is very clearly better than all of their backup big men, right? He's better than Cornette. He's better than Kade. He's better than Tillman. Like he would have come in and immediately be the 3rd string center. But you're talking about trading first round or starter caliber value for a guy to be a 3rd string center. That's where the problem lies for the Celtics. Because the Jazz, he's playing 30 minutes a night for them. He's 23 years old. If they trade Walker Kessler, they are going to want the return that you get for a starting caliber player. And so the Celtics would have to give up the value to get a starter for a guy to play, 20 minutes a night max? Because you already have 2 centers leading the rotation in Porzingis and Al Horford. Combine that with the fact that the Celtics are already in such a tight place financially, being a second apron team, paying that much in taxes, that they're already going to have some of their draft picks be not tradable if they stay in the second apron for long enough. 7 years into the future, those picks will become not, untradeable because of the restrictions. So you'd have to give up at least 1 first-round pick, probably more than that, to get Walker Kessler, meaning that would be 1 fewer pick you have to add talent to this team down the line, which if you want to say Walker Kessler can grow into the role and is more valuable, sure, blah, 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 whatever. But for the short term, you are going to be trading, again, starter value, a first round pick, plus definitely more than that, for a position that you already have 5 guys on the roster at. For as much as Tillman and Kata aren't playing right now, and Tillman hasn't played much all season, both of them are still centers. So you're going to be trading a first round pick and more to get a 6th center on the roster. And I get it, right? I get he is better than Cornette. He's better than Kata. He's better than Tillman. But it still just doesn't make sense when there are other areas of need you might want to use a first round pick for, or you might want to draft down the line and stuff like that. And not to mention, there's going to be other teams trying to get Walker Kessler who can probably offer more, which means you'll get stuck in a bidding war, which means you'll have to offer more. It just doesn't make sense, right? From an on-court perspective, sure, yeah, getting Walker Kessler on this team would be great. I think he can contribute to the rebounding. I mean, he averages 4.5 offensive rebounds a game right now. He's a block monster. I think he would immediately usurp Cornette in the rotation and be a nice, backup big man. But it just doesn't make sense with the value you would have to give up to get him. So I get it. I understand. And I think he's a great player. I just don't think it makes sense for where the Celtics are at right now.
There's also something to this where you have to think like Utah. Where Utah is at, they're clearly in a rebuilding stage, right? Why would the Jazz want to give up a guy that fits the time frame that they've got,
well,
and is as productive as he is for his position?
I get that, but I don't think there will ever be a time that Walker Kessler is more valuable than he is right now, if that makes sense. Because, how much better is Walker Kessler going to get? We've seen it with this type of big man. And also the fact that Walker Kessler has been a trade target and is rumored to be trade regardless. The Celtics should go get a guy who's not available. It's very clear that Walker Kessler is available.
Correct.
That is obvious. So at least my interpretation of it is we've seen this type of big man hit the trade market before. And what is the best version of Walker Kessler look like, right? 15 and 13, maybe, right? He's at 11 and 11 right now with almost 3 blocks a game. Add in the fact that he's not on his big contract yet. You still have 2 years, or this year and 1 more of him on his rookie deal. He's still only 23. How much more value will he ever have if you are the Jazz? So maybe this is just, we're going to sell high on Walker Kessler because at the end of the day, he is turning into very much a high level role player. And on a team where you're probably throwing darts to find stars, would you rather just give his minutes to either a veteran to help the young guys or a dart to find a star rather than a guy who's probably going to cap out at what is his ceiling? Rudy Gobert, and we saw how that contract and value got to. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Maybe it's a very an S tier Luke Cornett or a high level Mitchell Robinson or Isaiah Hartenstein type, right? And you can get there. And I don't think he's Isaiah Hartenstein. I don't think he's the level of passer or scorer, but I just think there's a cap for this type of player to reach. And I don't know if he's there yet, but he's damn close. And that's when you probably want to sell high.
I mean, I suppose the sell high thing does make sense. I think, I don't know. I kind of feel like there might be something else here where, maybe there's internal reasoning why they want to get rid of him. I just feel like that might be something for people to keep in mind. The guy's 23. You mentioned he's got 2 years left on the rookie contract, and they're resting him because they're trying to trade him so aggressively. He rested a game. What is today? Tuesday. So Monday night they rested Kessler. They listed him out with rest. That doesn't spell tons of faith in the guy. I know you said the plateau could be very real.
Well, he had a really bad sophomore season, and they put him in summer league going into his 3rd year, which is pretty rare, and he played really well, and he's bounced back since then. So I do think there's a thing where rookies don't usually regress after their first year, and obviously he's bounced back, but I think that tells you there's a cap on this type of player. There is only so good that this type of player can be in the NBA. Look at Zach Edey, right? There were a whole bunch of questions on whether he would be drafted, top
Correct.
10 or if he is a lottery pick, because people realize Zach Edey was great in college and he could probably be good in the NBA, but what's his ceiling? A high level lottery player or a high level rotation player? That's probably what Walker Kessler is. So if you're the Jazz, right, like you don't really need a Walker Kessler type until you are competitive, and they are not going to be competitive for a long time. So you might as well just get the draft picks and try to swing on a star while you're there, or be ready to trade for more. So I don't think Walker Kessler's a problem behind the scenes. Everything I've seen from him is just a normal guy. He's married to or dating Miss America. She just won Miss America like 2 weeks ago, which is kind of cool. But like I just think they realize what they have. Danny Ainge understands that there's going to be a max. And honestly, from the Jazz, you paid a guy like this before. If you really want to talk about it, you paid a guy like this before, and you probably paid him too much. So Walker Kessler, we're probably going to look at it and say, hey, I want $20+ million. And the Jazz are probably like, we don't really want to pay you $20+ million.
Yeah, no, I think that's all true. I will say, just kind of the final thought on this is, if the Celtics were to go get him, you do have bird rights, and that means, you don't want to pay him an exponential salary, but you can afford to keep him around depending if the price is reasonable, which is valuable considering Horford could be retiring sometime soon. He's not going to be here forever. You get injury insurance for Porzingis. Like, there's layers to it where it makes sense, but it is a very strange fit, like on January 14th, to think about it and be like, where does he fit into the rotation? That's where it's a big question.
Yeah, and if you're the Celtics, you do get those bird rights, so you could technically pay him, but do you really want to pay Walker Kessler $25 million? I don't know, man. He can't really afford that. He can't really afford to pay guys.
Contract.
Yeah, you can't really afford to pay those guys much. So I get it. I think Walker Kessler would be fine. I think you would play real minutes for the Celtics, but I just don't think the value is worth what you'd be getting back. And you put yourself in a tough spot financially if you'd have to pay him. So that's that. Let us know what you guys think of Walker Kessler down below. There's definitely some buzz, at the very least, of him getting traded, and some eyes saying, hey, this could make sense to the Celtics. But we shall see. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to How About Them Celtics here, Spotify, Apple, all that good stuff. And all that. Sam, wrap it up.
Yeah, thank you very much for listening and watching. Make sure you subscribe, leave a like, comment. Tell us if the Celtics are getting Walker Kessler or not. You can also hit the bell, because we're here every single day. New pods drop Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Game recaps are up the morning after each game. And other videos like this one are up on the channel in between to keep you up to date with all things Celtics. You can find us doing pregame live a half hour before all the games as well. So stick around. We're always here for it. It's a ton of fun. You can find us on Spotify and Apple too. Like Jack mentioned, leave a 5-star review. We'd appreciate that very much. It would help the channel. All pods and recaps are up on those platforms as well. You can email us, hbtcpod@gmail.com. We love to hear from you guys. We read the emails every single recording of the pods, that is. Again, hbtcpod@gmail.com. Our socials are at How About Them C's for Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Facebook's the name of the pod. All streams are there. They're on YouTube. They're on Twitter. Jack's Twitter's at Jack's1NBA. Mine's at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us. Bye.
Taco, come on. Taco.